For those of you who can't get enough recruiting day stuff, today's like Christmas Day for you, and it's a big day at the All Horned Frogs podcast. I'm Jeff Wilson. Thanks for joining us. We are at the all DLLS studios in downtown Dallas. This is episode 12 of this little podcast. Very excited about that. We have some fun stuff to talk about and a lot of news. Coming up today, TCU recruiting guru Jeremy Clark from Horned Frog Blitz at 2:45. And the closer, Jamie Plunkett, also from Horned Frog Blitz, will be coming on at 3. A whole bunch of stuff to talk about. Right now, it's time to play catch up. All right, today did mark the beginning of the early signing period for college football recruiting class of 2025. That's why Jeremy Clark is joining us. We're going to bypass much of the recruiting talk until he joins in 15 minutes. But the Frogs announced 29 commitments, 25 from the prep ranks, 20 who will be enrolling in January. All right, get that, enrolling early in January, getting out of high school. And it's a class that is ranked number 1 in the Big 12 and number 24 nationally, according to the 247 Sports formula. Sonny Dykes said this morning that he and his staff used that little nugget when attempting to woo recruits. Overall, though, he said, this class is exactly what the program needs, and the staff has been ahead of the curve on all the recent changes to college football recruiting.
It's amazing how quickly all of this has changed. Typically, this used to take place in February, and now, we've gotten our entire recruiting class signed, 29 signees, 25 high school players, 4 junior college players, 20 of which will be here in January and enroll early. So things have really changed in the recruiting front. I mean, it's just such a different world now than it used to be when it comes to recruiting. Things happen so much faster. Just the fact that 20 of the 29 will be here enrolled in school in January allows those guys to get off to a fast start. So big deal, man. This is a culmination of a lot of work, a lot of planning. A number of these players we've been recruiting for 3 years now. The 3 years that we've been here, some of these guys we targeted, very early when we got hired here at TCU, and have watched those guys grow and progress. And we're fortunate to get them signed today, and excited about the group. I mean, I think it's exactly what we needed. When you sit down, we talk about it all the time. Our goal is to always sign a football team. And what I mean by that is, just a roster. You look at it and you say, okay, we got a quarterback, we got a running back, we got a tight end, we got a number of offensive linemen, number of defensive linemen, linebackers, corners, safeties. And so just really, really fired up about this group. The best thing about this collection of young people, I think, is just their character. Really proud to bring these guys in. Sometimes in recruiting classes you have kind of highly rated guys that are a little bit of fluff. You kind of go, well, we're going to take this kid, take a flyer on him. He's a heavily recruited guy. He may have academic issues. He may have character issues. He may have been injured, whatever the case may be. We didn't do that. There's no fluff in this class. I mean, these are legitimate dudes that are going to make this program better.
I like the no fluff and the legitimate dudes. Sounds pretty good. Gary Patterson, when he was the coach, he used to have an 80-20 rule, 80% solid kids and 20%, kind of what Dykes was talking about, who might have some chemistry issues or some character issues, but you had to take them because they were potential difference makers in the program. Well, now I don't think TCU has to do that. And the recruits, again, 29 of them. They should be excited about what they're seeing on the field from the Frogs, who won Saturday night in chilly and snowy Cincinnati by a 20-14 count. Things got a little dicey in the fourth quarter as the Frogs were shut out in the second half. But 2 Savion Williams rushing TDs and 2 Kyer Lumberman field goals in the first half proved to be just enough. The Frogs finished 8-4 overall, 6-3 in Big 12 play by winning 5 of their final 6 games of the season, and the lone loss was a last-second field goal to Tanner's Baylor Bears. That's a pretty solid finish to a season, especially when when the Frogs were in trouble at 3-3, coming off that bad home loss to Houston. It wasn't good enough to get into the Big 12 title game, which is Saturday at AT&T Stadium. But it was a good, strong finish that's going to propel the Frogs into what's next. Up next for the Big 12 is Iowa State at Arizona State. Again, Saturday morning at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. The winner will land in the initial expanded college football playoffs. Up next for the Frogs is a bowl game with the Liberty Bowl and the Guaranteed Rate Bowl now looking to be the 2 most likely destinations. The Liberty Bowl would be against an LSU team, an SEC team, maybe LSU or Oklahoma. So pretty marquee matchup for the Frogs, and what would be some legacy, some blue blood programs, and a good test for this team that's going to have a month off now, and is going to be without Jack Besh, who injured his knee against Cincinnati. Not a terrible injury, fortunately for him, but he's going to probably miss the bowl game. Dykes is thrilled with the Frogs' midseason turnaround.
We presented a plan going into the open week against Utah and said, here's what we need to do to win. And our players jumped right on board, and they did everything we asked them to do, and it gave us a chance to win every game the rest of the season. We won 5 of 6, lost 1 on a last-second field goal. We were -10 in turnover ratio at that point in the season. The next 6 games we were +4, and so they did exactly what we asked them to do. And really proud of the guys. I think they showed a lot of character and who they are. That doesn't happen if they're not unselfish and they don't love each other and care about each other and care about TCU football. So, wish we wouldn't have had that tough stretch in the middle of the season. There were 2 games that came down to a field goal. If those games go our way, we're probably sitting here in the college football playoff, or certainly in the Big 12 championship game. But there's a number of teams that could say that same thing. And so a lot of parity in the Big 12 this year, a lot of close ball games. We got to continue to focus on winning those games and addressing the reasons we didn't and figuring out what we can do better to win all of them. Because the difference really is very small. 2022, we were 7-1 in 1-score games, and that took us to a Big 12 championship game and ultimately an opportunity to win a national championship. And so we've got to get back to winning those close games consistently.
All right, I think I got the frog out of my throat. While the football team is hot, the hottest team at TCU is the women's basketball program, which knocked off another elite team over the Thanksgiving break. Frogs upset number 3 Notre Dame in the Cayman Islands Classic with, no shock here, big games from Haley Van Lith and Sedona Prince. TCU then beat South Florida to improve to 8-0 and climb to number 9 in the country. Not only is that the highest ranking in program history, it creates the first top 10 matchup in program history as the Frogs play defending national champion South Carolina, who is ranked 3rd in the nation, Sunday at Dickies Arena. Coach Mark Campbell spoke to the media this morning, made an impassioned plea for the community to help pack the gym at Dickies. Games like this don't come along very often, and they sure as heck don't come along very often with TCU women's basketball. So go see the women's game. The men play right after in a doubleheader at Dickies. Campbell said that you will see a confident group that took another step forward in beating Notre Dame.
I think we played 80 minutes of high-level hoops, and Notre Dame, you got to see our group take 3 quarters that we had to kind of grind it out, and and defend and stay in the fight and be gritty. And in the fourth quarter, we finally broke loose and scored 31 and got cooking offensively. And that was a time that our team really grew up collectively. And then to turn around and bounce back, it's one of the things that's tricky about these holiday tournaments. You can play 3 games in 3 days or back-to-back games, and you know, win or lose, it's an emotional turnaround, and our team bounced back against South Florida, and I would say that 40-minute performance was as good as we've had this season, and so couldn't be more proud of the group, and obviously earned a top 10 ranking for the first time in program history, and got a game tonight against Florida Atlantic, and so got to make sure we're locked in and handle our business. And then we'll turn the page for a pretty big game on Sunday that's looming.
That's good, because TCU is no longer going to surprise anybody the rest of the season after the Notre Dame win and with the number 9 ranking. And the Notre Dame win came on the heels of beating North Carolina State, who was ranked 13th at the time. The Frogs will instead be getting the best from opponents each game, especially opponents who want to make a name for themselves. And that starts tonight with a home game against the mighty Florida Atlantic Owls.
One of our messages yesterday is now you're the hunted, and Florida Atlantic coming in, you know, we talked about how excited we were to play Notre Dame and how excited we were to play NC State. And so now you're the team that everybody's really excited to compete, and you have to embrace it. You have to talk about it, make sure the mindset is healthy and right, but you're going to get everybody's best shot now. And that's part of the learning curve is these teams coming in, and the teams that get to compete against us, you're going to get their best effort. And so we got to be locked in for 40 minutes from the tip, and we're addressing that, and we'll continue to address it as we navigate this journey. But you're not sneaking up on anybody anymore.
The men's team did not have a great Thanksgiving break, as they dropped both of their games at the Acrisure Classic in Palm Springs, California, shooting poorly on Thanksgiving night in a loss to Santa Clara, and then playing better Friday, but still losing to Colorado State in overtime. Next up is Xavier, which has been ranked nationally early this season before a loss to Michigan. Now, well, TCU can feel the Privateers' pain because Michigan also beat TCU earlier this season. So that game is scheduled for Thursday at Schollmeyer Arena as part of the Big 12 Big East Challenge. And then TCU plays Vanderbilt on Sunday at Dickey's after the women's game against South Carolina. Okay, all of that, though, is kind of taking a back seat to some breaking news. And it's not good news if you're a TCU fan. According to national reports, including one by Pete Thamel at ESPN and another by Brent McMurphy, athletic director Jeremiah Donati is being wooed very, very heavily by South Carolina and is expected to take over as the Gamecocks athletic director. Neither TCU nor South Carolina have confirmed the news, but it is spreading like wildfire. A source at TCU said that TCU is circling the wagons and that Donati is not denying that he is talking with the Gamecocks. So that's something big to watch there. Donati was hired in 2017 to replace Chris Del Conte, who's now at Texas. Donati came to TCU in 2011. Interesting guy, played basketball in college, has a law degree, is really good at raising the money, and has helped spearhead a lot of these projects that you've seen happen at TCU during a really interesting transition time and national recruiting. And the NIL, so transfer portal, all of that, and he's helped build some of these women's programs, like the women's team, into a burgeoning power. So something to follow there. Something we're going to talk about a little bit later. Coming up at 3 p.m., Ben Rebstock, the GM for DLLS and a TCU graduate. Jamie Plunkett, the closer, has scratched. He had to cancel late. Cooper McDonald, the defensive end who is going to be on today, has the flu and can't join us. So we're going to get to Jeremy Clark, though, right after this. It's time to once again talk about the fantastic app Sleeper. Use code DLLS for a $100 first deposit match. It worked for me. It really is a legit thing. Sleeper, if you haven't heard, is known for its fantasy sports, but now they're getting to daily picks, and I just have a great time with it. It makes sports a lot more enjoyable to watch and follow. I'm learning more about the NBA. My go-to is double doubles, and I got burned last night because Giannis from the Bucks, he had 27.7 rebounds and 8 assists in a blowout. If it hadn't been a blowout, he would have gotten home, and I would have cashed a little bet. But it's fun. I do it every Saturday and every NFL Sunday. College basketball, I need to start zeroing in on that. But here's what you need to do: download the Sleeper app, and again, use code DLLS Frogs for a $100 first deposit match. And then you're going to win all this money, right? And you're going to go to Shady Rays because you want to be smart with your earnings. It doesn't mean you want to blow it. You want to be smart. And Shady Rays is got excellent sunglasses for a low price. If you use the code DLLS, you get 35% off polarized sunglasses. These things are hard to break. John Radigan from the Rangers show, his got wedged in between his seat and his console for like a week. And then he found them finally, and they came out without a scratch. But if they do have a scratch, or if you do lose them, Shady Rays has an amazing replacement policy that really, it just seems like you're getting these things. You buy one pair, and you just start getting free pairs every time you lose them, or in the unlikely event you damage them, you get a free pair for that too. So anyway, Shady Rays, exclusively for our listeners. Shady Rays is giving out the best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com. Use the code DLLS for 35% off polarized sunglasses. All right. Coming up at 3, Ben Rebstock. At 3:15, it looks like Melissa Triebwasser, who's on with Jamie on his podcast, Frogs Insider, is going to join us. But first, I had a chance to catch up earlier today with Jeremy Clark to break down this recruiting class. All right, guys, we're now joined by Jeremy Clark from the Horned Frog Blitz, part of the 247 Sports Network. He's Jamie's boss. He's also been doing TCU recruiting since 2005, which even predates my time on the beat. Jeremy, how we doing? Is today like your Christmas?
Yeah, it's kind of like retirement for a year. You work so hard throughout your whole life, and you get to retire. It's kind of like that in recruiting. You work so hard for a cycle, and then everything comes to fruition and seems like it's done. And oh wait, tomorrow starts the 26th cycle. So you don't get much time for rest, but it's cool to see things kind of close up and put a wrapping on this class.
Well, and then I'm sure portal stuff has already started, so I'm sure you're going to be busy with that. But let's kind of focus on the guys today. And you were at the Sonny Dykes press conference. He seems pretty dang happy with this class.
This class is pretty good. I mean, since I've covered the team, I would say it's right there with the 2016 class. It's right around that 20, 21, 22 range. And when you look at the class from top to bottom, it's like he said today, they really did a great job of filling positions of need. They filled a football roster. They got a quarterback, running back, receivers, O-line, D-line, linebackers, corners, safeties. The only thing they didn't sign was a kicker and punter, and they did that last year. So I was really impressed with the class. I was really impressed with the way they held on to these guys, not only through a 3-3 season to begin the year. They finished off 8-4. But sometimes when a team does bad in the season, you start losing some of those guys. So the fact that they were able to hold on to those guys and, in addition, get some flips in the end. Terry Shelton is a big-time four-star recruit, ended up being the number 1 recruit in the class. He's ranked in the top 75, regardless of position in the nation. He's ranked as the number 12 receiver. He's a guy that I feel like once he gets here in January, goes through spring camp, will have a chance to make some significant playing time next year. But man, I'm really impressed. You got the Schobel cousins,
right?
Not cousins. That was huge. I mean, anytime you can go out and get a legacy player, and everyone was looking at it in the very beginning, and Sonny even said it today, we kind of look back at recruiting Adam. We made a mistake not evaluating him a little bit better in the beginning. But landing Adam at quarterback, he's a phenomenal athlete. He's a tall, long guy, gunslinger, can throw it all over the field, makes plays with his feet. And John obviously is a guy that they have a decision to make. Is he going to grow into a traditional defensive end, or is he going to kind of be that stud player that TCU utilizes in Avalos' system? But I'm sure you got a lot of questions about all the rest of the guys, but those are my headliners right there.
Yeah, well, it's the number one class in the Big 12 right now, as you guys are ranking it. And I mean, I know the Big 12 is a little bit down and doesn't have Texas and Oklahoma anymore, but shoot, I mean, that I think speaks to Sonny Dykes' ability, and I think this is one of the reasons why he was hired, the ability to embrace NIL and to be ahead of the curve. He talked about some of these guys that they signed, they started talking to as soon as they got on campus.
Yeah, recruiting has changed so much over the last few years. I mean, you really start, even guys that are freshmen in high school right now, they're already starting to build those relationships with those guys, even though they won't be signing for another 3-4 years. But that's kind of the way they approach it. You got to start evaluating these kids at a younger age. You got to start developing those relationships. Kind of got to figure out what makes them tick. What do they like? Do they like location? Do they like atmosphere, playing time, NIL? NIL has really changed a lot of perspective of these recruits. I mean, sometimes, it was always based on, hey, am I going to play early? Or, hey, am I going to play in a big crowd? And now, since NIL has kind of been introduced, that kind of has gone up to the top in a lot of these cases. So, like you mentioned, Sonny and his staff have done a great job through the flying T. They've done a great job of navigating the NIL and utilizing that. But I think it all just rests on basically what Sonny Dykes and those guys are able to sell as a program. They're in a great location. DFW is one of the best, if not the best, recruiting hotbed in the country. You're playing in the Big 12. You've got an expanded 12-team playoff now, so you can really go out and pitch to these recruits, hey, you'll have a chance to make the playoffs and really not be lying about it. And so I think when you look at the facilities TCU's built over the years, they're building a brand new enhancement facility, weight room for the football team only. They're putting money into the program, and when recruits go by and they visit the facilities and they see the school, the smaller classrooms, I think TCU pretty much checks every box you can imagine. I mean, for these recruits and their families, it's pretty much a no-brainer. And the big thing for them, they're starting to get these. It was kind of amazing just being around as long as I have. When Gary Patterson used to get 4- and 5-star recruits on campus for a visit, it was like huge news.
Right.
Right. It's a common theme now. The Sonny Dykes and those guys have routinely been able to attract 5-star talent to get them to visit on campus, 4-star guys. Now they're signing 4-star guys more in each of these classes. They've continually and progressively got better each year since they've been here in those 3 years. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see what this class can do. And the best thing about it is what he said today, Jeff. 20 of those guys are getting here in January.
Right. That's nuts.
Humongous for them to go through spring ball, get adapted as a college student athlete, and start making their hay, so to speak, just to work their way up the depth chart. As we've seen in transfer portal, there's going to be more kids leaving TCU. So there's going to be an advantage for some of these guys to come in immediately and start impressing the coaches and work their way up the depth chart immediately.
Yeah, it sounds, if you look at the roster, the 2-deep roster right now, wide receiver is a need position, and Shelton addresses that. But Sonny really talked about Ed Small and how much he loves this guy. What can you give us on Ed?
I love that he mentioned Ed, because I was at that camp Ed was at, and Sonny and I we were standing next to each other during this camp. And I even posted on Horned Frog Blitz the day of. I'm like, hey, listen, guys, this guy's committed to Texas right now for baseball, but I'm telling you right now, this kid is a football player. If he gets out of his truck, he doesn't look like a typical receiver prospect. He's 5'11". He's built really good. He's like 205 pounds. He looks like a baseball player. He's built like a baseball player, but man, when you see him run routes, he's so meticulous in his route running. He's got very deceptive speed. He's a fast kid. He catches literally everything. The kid has hands like John Paul Richardson. I mean, he just doesn't make drops. He had something like close to 4,000 receiving yards in his career at Austin Anderson. Really helped improve that program down there. But man, I can't wait to see what he does. He's the guy out of this class, even with Terry Shelton being the number one guy, even with a guy like Chad Woodfork at defensive end. Ed Small is the guy that I feel like right now, if these guys got invited, hey, come practice, we're going to try to see if you can play in this bowl game. Ed Small's the guy that I think he's going to be out there playing. And by this time next year, by the time TCU goes on the road to North Carolina, it would not surprise me in the least if you see Ed Small out there starting at receiver for them.
Yeah, Sonny always said that recruiting to him is about offensive and defensive lines, and nobody really likes to talk about offensive linemen. So on the defensive side, you mentioned Woodfork from down there in what is he from Missouri City? Is that right?
He's from Summer Creek.
There you go. I mean, this is like an elite pass rusher. Does he fit the Andy Avalos defense? Because it seemed like TCU got to the quarterback a lot more this season.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Chad, you're looking at a $5 million looking athlete. I mean, he just looks the part. He's long. He's extremely fast with his first step. He uses his hands well. He's got such a quick reaction off the ball. And when you look at the way Andy Avalos utilizes his defensive ends, we kind of got caught up in seeing Joe Gillespie style of defensive end the last couple of years, the bigger 6'4", 280-pound type guys that were fit more to that 3-3-5 mold. Chad is a true defensive end of TCU pass. If Gary Patterson was recruiting this kid, he would probably call it the number one recruit in his class, just because of the fact that he's built so athletically like a defensive end, and he's just so fast off the edge. And he had so many different schools looking at him. This was a kid that at one point was ranked as the number 60 overall prospect in the nation. I'm not sure why he dropped in our rankings, but he's still a guy that had a ton of schools after him. Texas Tech was trying to come in on him really late in the process, and a number of other schools that were involved early on, like Oklahoma, like Texas. I think Georgia was involved, but TCU really hit a home run landing that kid. And he's another kid that, with the kind of the lack of defensive ends that they have coming back, they got Paul coming back, they've got Michael coming back, but those two didn't play last year. So you're competing with younger guys like Travis Jackson and Kevion Huddleston to get playing time. And Chad's one of those guys that I think could come in, another guy that's going to arrive in January, get the weight room, get trained by Cause, and put on some good weight. And he's another one that I feel that could be playing really early next year.
Dane Jones is the guy from Missouri City. His high school coach is Rick LaFavors, who was a former TCU great defensive back, and I think he's the note said today that Jones is the second Rick LaFavors product that they've produced. So maybe they got a little pipeline there. But another receiver, another fill a need kind of guy. But do talk about Adam Schobel. First of all, I love that the Schobels are still in Columbus. I think that's great. They're sticking to their roots, no matter how successful they were in college and beyond. Still in Columbus. The TCU's got Haas Haney there, but they also have Josh Hoover, who's just a sophomore. Some good options, I guess, at quarterback. But what makes Adam so good?
It's funny. I'm gonna throw my boy Matt Stepp with Texas Football a bone here, because when Adam was a freshman, he texted me and said, "Man, I know you know the last name, but you got to see Matt Schobel's kid, Adam. He's a quarterback. He plays as a freshman. Just keep your eye on him. He's really good. He's tearing it up down here at the Texas 7-on-7. So he's just one of those guys that he's very smart. He started as a freshman at Columbus. He's not as fast as Haas Haney, but that doesn't mean he's slow. Mm-hmm. He could throw the ball anywhere on the football field. Any throw that you want him to make, he's going to be able to make. But if he has to run, he's going to be able to get those hard yards on the ground too. So I really feel excited about him. He's the number 2 rated quarterback in the state of Texas, which says a lot. Number 16 in the nation. Kind of a good thing, because TCU lost a quarterback earlier in the process, which is the big reason why they started recruiting Adam. And it's kind of like what Sonny was saying during the press conference. Sometimes with quarterbacks, you start recruiting and developing relationships so early that when you have a kid that's a really good guy that you feel like can fit your system well, and you get that kid so early in the process, you just stop recruiting other quarterbacks because
Yeah.
quarterbacks sometimes get their feelings hurt if you recruit multiple guys. So Adam wasn't really, and I think that's kind of what Sonny was pertaining to this morning when he was talking about evaluating Adam. They always felt like Adam was good, but they already had another quarterback committed. So that quarterback flipped his commitment, ended up at SMU. They get Adam Schobel, which every TCU fan and their dogs wanted TCU to go after. The funny thing about it is Adam Schobel ended up ranked higher than the previous quarterback commit they had. So everything worked out in the end.
Yeah. That's what Sonny said. Sometimes a guy leaves and you end up with better guys. And he said that of the few that did flip away from TCU, they landed guys who are better recruits. And Schobel is one of them. One more guy I want to ask you about, and you asked about him, I believe, at the presser is John Denman, the running back from Palestine. He's probably not Adrian Peterson good, but it looked like the notes say he was a Wildcat guy, so he took a lot of direct snaps. What do you like about him?
Well, as I said to Sonny too, every time they were mentioning, they always said we got our guy. So despite the 3-star ranking, I feel like that's one of those guys that Sonny Dykes is really glad that he never got pushed up to a 4-star or got more notoriety out there on the recruiting front. But John he's built really well. He's 5'11", pretty close to 200 pounds right now. This guy has a verified 10.7, 10.6, 100 meter time. He's very fast. A lot of times when I watch his film, he reminds me of a lot of Kendre Miller, another former Texas guy. So when people start thinking about John Denman, think a little bit about Kendre Miller. They were real similar in high school. Kendre had to play that similar position, he had to play quarterback. So when you think of John playing that Wildcat, he's taking snaps, but he's elusive. He's a guy that can run over you. He's a guy that can run away from you. He's got very good cutback ability. And it's another thing like the quarterbacks, when you start recruiting more than one running back, it kind of scares off some guys. And really 2025, they were only going to take one running back, period, unless they lost someone else. Mm-hmm. But John Denman seemed to be that guy all the way from the beginning. He was Anthony Smith's guy. Anthony, the new running backs coach, sure. Anthony Smith loved him. And again, I keep saying this is another guy that will arrive on campus in January. And I feel like through specific weight training, getting faster and bigger and stronger, he's another one that I feel like can see some early playing time, especially in a running back room where I still don't think they really have a solidified starter right now.
I agree with you.
Anything's up for grabs right now in that running back room at TCU.
I agree with you. Yeah. We only talked about a handful of the 29 recruits that the Frogs signed today. Go check it out, gofrogs.com. It has a little bio of each one of them. Jeremy from Horned Frog Blitz, we can't thank you enough for joining the show and giving us your insight. And enjoy your one-day retirement.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. Glad to be on, man.
All right, bud. Coming up next, Jamie Plunkett, who is Jeremy's underling at 247 Sports. Hey, if you guys are in need of carpeting or flooring, Empire Today. Nobody does it better. Go to empiretoday.com/DLLS for $350 off. Want to get that out of the way immediately so that we have your attention. Empire Today, you get shop at home convenience, the right products for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. They've got the virtual floor designer. That's the best thing about it. It's a great way to see how new floors will look at any room in your house or condo or I don't know, bungalow, whatever you got. So check that out. When you're with Empire, it's flooring only. You're not going to a big box store where a guy just sold a bunch of batteries to somebody for their whatever. It's floors and floors only. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 off when they use the promo code DLLS. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com DLS for details. And then with all that money, you're going to have shows you can go to, ball games, theater, comedy stuff, whatever you need. Game Time is the app for you to use. I was checking it out today for the Big 12 championship game. Iowa State and Arizona State. Not exactly a marquee matchup for fans in DFW, but you'd be surprised how many Iowa State and Arizona State grads are in this area. Anyway, $42 for an upper level seat at AT&T Stadium. Best thing about Game Time, in my opinion, two things. You have you can see your seat, the view from your seat, which is great, and there's no hidden fees. Upfront pricing, so you don't get kicked in the shorts on the back end. So download the Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying. Create an account. Use DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. Oh, look who it is. It's Ben Rebstock. Ben is a pinch hitter extraordinaire. We just went
baseball guy, right?
We just went to the bench, and with Jamie having to cancel, we also had Cooper McDonald, the defensive end, lined up, and he has the flu. And I think he might have got it in Cincinnati playing in the snow or going outside shirtless. What are these college kids doing these days? Actually, it's everybody.
How cool was that snow game?
It was pretty neat.
It was
awesome. We were watching the game, me and my daughter, and it was snowing and cold, and they kept showing some drunk student who didn't have a shirt on, and my daughter couldn't believe it. She's like, "What is he doing?" I was like, "Hey, believe me, when you get old and she won't take her shirt off, hopefully. But I said, you're going to have some friends that are going to do that one day. So anyway, but yeah, that was fun. It was a gritty win. Fortunate that they were able to build the advantage, I thought, before the weather hit the fan. But 8-4, which Jamie Plunkett predicted. Pretty fantastic finish of the season, really, when you think about it.
It's all about momentum at this point, especially after the way the season started. The best thing you could hope for was a strong finish that would carry over into the next season, and that's exactly what we got. Team played well. They fought hard. Great win up there. We had our family Thanksgiving that day, and I have a family full of Longhorns and a couple Aggies, and so I got relegated to the TV in the side room.
The kids' table.
The kids' table was where I was at, and I couldn't blame them. I mean, it was exciting to see those two teams back on the field. You can't deny that. So that was really cool to see that. But having that snow pick up in Cincinnati at least made it intriguing for people to walk in from time to time, because us Texas teams down here, we don't get a whole lot of snow games. And so to see the way the guys played in it and reacted and handled it was fantastic, especially, a lot of those players for Cincinnati grew up playing in that kind of weather, and I doubt many on our team have. And they played really well and handled business. Finished 8-4, and now we just wait for the where we're going bowling.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Eric McAllister transferred from Boise, so he's got to be like the only one who really had an opportunity to do that. I mean, I might be missing some guys with all the transfer portal stuff these days, but. It's got to be kind of fun. I remember I grew up in Denver, and I didn't play football, but my friends did. And I remember they would put on the trash bags before their games in the snow. And I went to some Broncos games where snow was a factor. Notably, the Ray Wershing snowball game where San Francisco was lining up for a game-winning field goal, and a fan threw a snowball that hit right by the football. Unbelievable aim, quite a throw.
Guy's got an arm.
Broncos win, baby. But I was trying to think, what were the? I mean, I can't think of a bad weather cold game. I think of a bad weather rain game. The Thanksgiving one against Baylor.
Yeah, that was cold.
Yeah,
I mean
it was wet.
That was That was the worst game I've ever been to in my life. We have a framed photo of my dad and my cousins who went to TCU as well. We're all there we're happy because we won, but we are drenched and freezing and numb. And one of those experiences that you're just like, why didn't I stay home and watch this one on TV? But, especially since we won, it made it worth it. If we had lost that game, not so much. But, that's the only one I can really think of. There was one my freshman year that against Arizona at home that was just a downpour. It was not cold. It was early in the season, but it was the wettest I've ever been at a game. Actually forgot to put the top on my Jeep at Brockman Hall and got back over there, and the water, I had to go park on a hill and open the back door and drain the water out. I was just so soaked inside there. But we don't have a whole lot of bad weather games, honestly.
Right. There was one against Stanford.
Stanford was the other one,
like
the hurricane.
A tropical storm. Yeah, it was windy, but TCU won that pretty handily. Now, if you want to go way back in history, I think it was the 60 Cotton Bowl. It was like frigid against Air Force, maybe.
I wasn't born back then.
I wasn't
Maybe
either. It was, I
Oh.
think it was, but I think it was a scoreless tie.
Yeah.
And then the 36 Sugar Bowl was 3-2.
Yeah.
TCU won that, and it helped them stake a claim to the national title. But it was like wet and sloppy in New Orleans. Sammy Baugh like punted 14 times or something like that, and he also, I think he hit the field goal that won the game.
So.
But anyway, so I alerted you to some news that's kind of bubbling, percolating here nationally, that Jeremiah Donati might be headed to South Carolina. He had flirtations with one USC a few years ago, and another USC has come in. I like Jeremiah a lot. He's a nice guy. He's been very helpful. He's done a lot for the university, but it always seemed like he's been trying to move on.
Yeah. Yep. Like his predecessor, using it as a kind of a stepping stone school. I hate to say that, but that's what it's been. We've always seemed to land on our feet well, though, but we kind of knew the succession plan after Del Conte.
Sure.
With Donati, and I don't know where we go next. I don't know if they have that person in house, or if he were to leave, then we go on our own search. But interesting news. It's always a little unnerving a bit when you have that kind of change there, but we've seemed to do okay since last 2 decades in figuring that out.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to want to come. It is interesting timing because and these things take time. You don't just like pick up the phone, get a phone call one day and be like, oh yeah, sure, let's do it. So I don't know if Chancellor Bicchini leaving, who's been an unbelievable supporter of TCU athletics, had anything to do with it. Daniel Poland has been named the successor, and Daniel seems to be all on board with that. So I don't know if that would have an effect. I don't know that South Carolina is like a premier SEC job. I guess they have the money. Columbia is not Charleston. It's not like you're going to this boutique city with great food and drink. You're going up the highway in the middle of the state, in the state capital. So I don't know that has it.
It's hard to turn down the
but
SEC.
It's hard. Yeah, it is hard to turn down the SEC, and in the power play among conferences, the Big 12 is a clear third now.
Yeah.
But at least
which is fine.
At least in football.
Yeah.
At least in football.
Yeah, but I'd rather be third than
fourth or out of it.
They've done a good job of putting themselves in a good spot. But
yeah.
I feel like we're in a pretty good spot across the board with all of our programs at the moment. So yeah, this will be hopefully it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It'd be fine if it doesn't. But if it were, I think everything's pretty stable across the board right now, that we would land on our feet and be okay.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the potential internal candidates. Ryan Peck, who was recently hired, had a pretty good job at UNT, and I think he's more like Donati's right-hand guy right now. I don't know if he's been on the job long enough. It might be a test for him if he's an internal guy at least. I wouldn't look past John Denton, who's been on our show. He's the head of the Flying T Club. Obviously played football there. Was an associate AD for a while. Ran the Frog Club, so he knows how to raise money. That's for sure, and that's the number one job of an athletic director. Let's not kid ourselves here. Number one job of any AD is to ability to raise funds, which Jeremiah did well. Chris Delconte did well. I think it was one reason why my boy Jack Hasselbrock never got the job. I think everybody would give money to Jack. I always thought Jack got screwed over a couple of times. I'm incredibly biased because I love Jack Hasselbrock. Big Rangers fan. He texts me every game. Great guy. He's off into retirement now, but there are going to be candidates. There will be people who are at good programs right now who will have interest in this job, just knowing the marketplace and where TCU is academically, athletically, with the conference.
Stability of the conference is going to play a big part in that.
Sure.
The moves that the Big 12 has made over the last 2 years to solidify it in that third spot is a great spot to be, which will keep the job very attractive.
Yeah, and
to a lot of people.
There's the talk of Clemson and Florida State and Miami coming along. You hear stuff like that.
SMU wouldn't like that at all.
Maybe UConn. Tough for SMU.
They didn't play any of them hardly this year.
That's right. They don't know what they're talking about. But yeah, UConn is one that apparently Baylor is against because they don't want any competition with basketball. But it would make that basketball conference.
It'd be so good.
It's already unbelievable. It'd make it flippin' believable.
Come on, Tanner.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right, it's time to get rid of Ben. Melissa Triebwasser is coming on to pinch hit for the closer.
It's a good looking shirt.
Yeah, we're going to talk merch here in a minute.
Yeah, I got to get you in like adult sizes though. So those, man.
Yeah, my guns. Yeah. I hear it's not gun, it's meat. It's extra meat. So, all right, guys, Ben Rebstock, thanks.
See you next week.
Yep. He's right about next week because we always have guests who are canceling at the last minute. But hey, you know what? We're good. We got the resources to get people joining us like Melissa here in a couple minutes. Let's not forget the diehard Cyber Monday deal, $36 for an annual membership. It's been extended. You still have some time to cash in on that son of a gun. I mean, it's unbelievable, the deal. I don't know how to explain this. If you're a fan of Metroplex sports team, including TCU, you're not going to get a better value for an outlet that covers all 4 major professional teams plus TCU. Morning news, nope. Star Telegram, hell no. This is the place to be. Go to alldls.com/join to take advantage of this deal, but do it fast. There's some urgency with this, people. And if you do get a membership, you get a free shirt. And if you're a TCU fan, you're going to want this shirt. There's also another one that you've seen me wear on other shows that's purple and has the frog that you see on the screen right now. I showed it today to Jamie Dixon and SID Stephen Schoen, who loved it and wants one. So I'm going to have to help Shoney out there. So anyway, store.allcitynetwork.com. It's gear for all 4 major sports teams. If you're watching this and went to another university like Texas Tech, SMU, Texas, or even Baylor in North Texas, we have shirts for you now. We have pint glasses, coffee mugs, flags, all kinds of stuff at store.allcitynetwork.com. Keep in mind, Christmas is right around the corner, and I can speak from experience that if you order, you get this stuff fast and delivered right to your doorstep. So store.allcitynetwork.com. Hey, Melissa.
How's it going?
It's going good. We're in scramble mode as always. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah,
Jamie,
you and the whole TCU athletics department, apparently.
Yeah, no kidding. No, from what I'm hearing, they're a little uptight about this one. They're not too pleased with any tweets that have gone out or anything like that. So sounds like this is going to happen. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of, I don't want to say it came out of left field because we never know what was going on behind the scenes, but I think it certainly caught a lot of people by surprise. After Donati turned down USC on the West Coast a year ago, I think we thought that he was committed semi-long-term to TCU. And so I think it definitely caught people by surprise when that started leaking out this morning, and then very quickly was confirmed that it looks like he's going to be the new athletic director at the University of South Carolina.
This is the second time that the Frogs have lost an AD to South Carolina. Eric Hyman left. Well, he ended up there. Right. He went to A&M, and then he went to South Carolina. So there's some kind of
some continuity
TCU pipeline. So Ben and I were kind of spitballing about internal candidates, if there are any. Do you think there are any internal candidates to take over at AD if this does happen?
Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, obviously, Donati was an internal hire promotion and was a pretty successful one. I mean, I think he's done a lot of good for TCU, and, people are going to have opinions about hires or keeping guys or whatever. But at the end of the day, TCU Athletics is in a really strong position right now, and a lot of that is thanks to Jeremiah Donati. And so you think about people that have been on his staff, people that have been associated with TCU in the past, there's certainly some good options there. Ryan Peck is a recent hire, but that's a guy who has a lot of authority and power and seems to be incredibly capable. I don't know what his interest level in that position would be, but he's certainly a guy that comes to mind when you think of people that are already there and in position to maybe take that step forward if the need arises.
Yeah, it's I spitballed John Denton. I think he might. He definitely was interested in the job when Donati was ultimately hired. He's a little older now, so maybe he's enjoying this, riding the Flying T Club and going to all their swanky parties and all that stuff. But I don't know, just a
he
name
would be
to
a
throw
great
out there.
option.
Huh?
I think he would be a great option. And I mean, somebody that you mentioned, I didn't really think of him in that context because of his new role. And he does seem to be really happy in that job. But yeah, definitely someone that's been interested in the past. And I think would at least, be somebody worth giving a call and having a conversation with.
Sure. He knows how to raise money and he understands NIL. I mean, that seems to be
those are the two most important things in today, right?
Exactly. So moving on, the coach Melissa has to be pretty excited about the women's basketball team.
Oh my gosh. I cannot rein in my excitement about this team. I thought before the season that they had a chance, if things broke correctly, to be a team that could make a run to the Sweet 16. And having watched not just who they've beaten, but how they've done so, all of a sudden that seems like that might be underselling this group's potential. Haley Van Lith is bringing eyeballs and positive attention to this program in a way that nobody has previously. Her and Sedona Prince are, if not the best, among the best 2 or 3 duos in all of college basketball right now. I mean, they're certainly a top 5 unit. What they're doing at the pick and roll and TCU's offense is not just helping TCU win games, but as I mentioned, is also drawing a lot of positive attention for the program. I don't think I've seen TCU's name on social media and being this publicly celebrated since the 2022 football run. And that's a huge deal for a program that, I mean, has had some nice accomplishments, but certainly hasn't been looked at on a national level prior to this season.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go back to Jeff Mittie there, 10, 12, 15
20
years ago.
Yeah,
with Sandora Irvin and, who was a WNBA lottery pick, and those teams are good. They never had a ton of tournament success. Mark Campbell was at the podium today, and he said that their goal is to finish in the top 16. That way you get to host the 2 home games. I mean, that's pretty aggressive thinking for a team that 2 years ago won 1 Big 12 game and last year had to forfeit 2 games because of injuries. I mean, this guy's done it before at other places, but man, the foot's on the gas.
Well, and I think it has to be. I mean, when you look at this roster, even though there's 6 new players, their average age is over 22 years old. I mean, I don't think he has a small window because I believe in his ability to recruit and to fill gaps through the portal. He's obviously demonstrated that in back-to-back seasons. But you have a chance to do something really special. And with the momentum this program has at the moment, having beaten a top 15 team in North Carolina, having beaten a top 5 team in Notre Dame, why wouldn't you say that our goal is to be a top 16 team in the country? I don't think that that's unreasonable. You've got 2 player of the year candidates. We're a month in. A lot can happen, but why would you not? Yeah, why would you not want to say, hey, we like Haley Van Lith, this is her last run. Sedona Prince, this is her last run. I mean, there is a lot of graduate student senior firepower on this roster that wants to do something great. You've got the talent, you've got the ability, you've got good depth. If you can stay mostly healthy, I don't think top 16 is an unreasonable goal for this program, nor an unreasonable expectation with the way things have started.
Yeah, and all the formulas that you need to get into the tournament are going to be boosted by conference play because Iowa State and Kansas State and Texas are so good. Baylor's always
Texas
good.
they won't get, but Texas Tech.
Sorry, God dang it! Oh,
I know it gets all of us.
I hate Texas, and
we all.
I said I've said it before. My favorite, and I think I've said this to you. My favorite sports outcome ahead of like my son's teams winning a game or my daughter's teams winning a game or even TCU winning a game is Texas losing at football. I cannot.
I'm sorry for your loss this year. Then
how overjoyed I am when it happens. And really what I like is the fan reaction. So anyway, that's an aside. But so South Carolina, obviously pretty good. They've lost this year. They played Duke this week, who's ranked number 8, 1 spot ahead of TCU. So they're running through the gauntlet. I guess really there's no bigger test. Even though they're not number 1, they're still like they're the UConn of 10 years ago. They're the team.
Yeah, and I think what's going to be really interesting is not just from a talent perspective, from a ranking perspective, from the defending national championship perspective. You're talking about one of the probably two best staffs in all of women's college basketball when you look at Dawn Staley and what she's done. So I think from a talent standpoint and just a matchup standpoint, yeah, this is a great test for TCU to say, where are we, not just in the Big 12, but in the greater scheme of college women's basketball this season. But from another standpoint, it's what can Mark Campbell's staff do to identify and execute, against a weakness? Like, can they find an area where they can attack the South Carolina team and be successful? Can they find an advantage for their players? The talent is there. It's going to come down to shot making to some degree for sure. But I think that if this staff can kind of go matchup for matchup with Dawn Staley and her staff, that's going to tell you a lot going forward as well. So I'm excited to see how this plays up. I think there's some great matchups. There's some great opportunities. South Carolina is so athletic. I mean, they are so unbelievably athletic. And so much of TCU's success relies on turning teams over, getting out an open floor and converting fast break opportunities. But South Carolina's transition offense is elite. And if TCU turns it over like they did in the first half against Notre Dame, I don't think we'll be looking at needing to come back from 11 or 13 points down. This could quickly spiral out of control. Just ask Iowa State. That Iowa State's a really good team that they got put in their place pretty poorly by an angry Gamecocks program. So, and now, there's just a little bit extra on the line too. Does the winner keep Jeremiah Donati? I don't know how that works, but
That's a good point.
Maybe that's what's ultimately at stake.
Jeremiah Donati Bowl in basketball.
Yeah.
The one thing Campbell said, he was asked, what does the team need to do to improve? And he said defense. They play that up-tempo game and they have the depth to do it. But if you're going to press against a team that you just described, you got to be on your toes. I mean, you can't. They probably can break your press pretty quick.
Yeah, and I think that's going to really be the key is how much does Campbell want to press against this team? How much do you get away from what's been your identity, and how smartly can you utilize that press? I think if they can do it situationally, it can be successful, but this is not a team you're going to be able to press for 40 minutes against, especially, I think we saw some turnover issues at the guard position against Notre Dame. So, and this is a more athletic version of Notre Dame and probably a deeper version. It's not the same team as last year. They missed Camila Cardosa a lot. I think Sedona Prince will have an opportunity to be really successful inside, but defensively, South Carolina can get out and run, and TCU is not probably as big and as fast as they are across every position. So I think that they're going to have to stay true to who they are defensively, but they're going to have to be more situational than they've had to be so far this season.
Yeah, it ought to be fun. 6 p.m. Sunday at Dickies Arena. Then the men play. The men just seem to be struggling.
Yeah, look, Jamie and I have talked about this quite a bit, but I think everything we were concerned about this men's team has come to roost so far this season. They're a little bit small. They don't have depth. David Punch, with Ernest Uday missing a couple of games, has had to play center. I think Punch has been better than we anticipated, but he's not a true five. And so the rebounding issues have been really significant. Defensively, they're a little bit slow to rotate, and they don't have a ton of size at the guard position. And so they're getting eaten up a little bit by teams with bigger guards. And so every team that they've played that has been, a top 100 team has definitely had an advantage. And TCU's got to figure it out. There's definitely talent on this team on both ends of the floor, but they haven't shot the ball all that well so far this season. I think that Brendan Wenzel has been pretty good. Noah Daniels has played decently. Frankie Collins is been really, really good, but they aren't playing within a system that's effectively using their strengths. I just don't think they've figured out their offensive flow. And defensively, they play hard, but they're certainly at some disadvantages, especially when it comes to rebounding. So I don't think you need to write them off yet. Vanderbilt's going to be a good test, and with the time that they've had off, they'll play Thursday against Xavier, which will be a difficult game as well. And then Vanderbilt on Sunday. I think that we need to see a little bit of this is a gut check time. This week is a big gut check time for this program because Big 12 play is not going to be any easier than anything they've seen so far this year.
Yeah, no, Dixon spoke this morning and he said David Punch has been their best defensive player, which is quite a statement for a freshman. And then he said shot selection is what got him over the Thanksgiving break. And so he said they've spent 3 days basically working on offense to to get everything straightened out. So yeah, we'll see. You know, they were able to make an adjustment. I know it was a scrimmage from the Texas scrimmage to the Arkansas scrimmage for the season, so it seems like a coachable group. But yeah, the one program's going one way, the other one, granted with a ton of newcomers and lack of size, is kind of trying to sort things out. So are we here at the All Horned Frogs Progress, and we did a great job today. I mean, we had Jamie Plunkett canceled, Cooper McDonald canceled. We had to tape Jeremy Clark. So it's been a scramble, but it's always a scramble. We have guys cancel every week. So thank you for stepping in, Melissa.
Of course.
And go follow her at the Coach Melissa on Twitter. She's never been afraid to share her opinion. That's Melissa Triebwasser.
For better or for worse.
That's right. So thanks for joining us, Melissa. We'll catch you next time.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, guys. I'm exhausted after making it to the finish line on that one. We want to thank Jeremy Clark for taking time out of his schedule. He was on his way to Carrollton to see Terry Shelton make his commitment to TCU. Ben Rebstock, fortunately, was in the building when Jamie Plunkett canceled. And then Jamie called on his good buddy, Melissa Triebwasser, to pinch hit for him. So, hey, another show in the books. We're not going to have a show next Wednesday. I think it's going to be next Thursday. Next Wednesday, I will be at the baseball winter meetings. So next Thursday, why don't you stop by and join us? Same place, not the same time, but we're going to have another show next week. So thanks for watching.
We all silly like the mayor.